What if the house you live in hides a secret darker than any nightmare? What if every creak of the floorboards is not just age, but evidence of something unsolved? Tonight, we're peeling back the walls of history, exposing chilling crimes that left behind more than just scars. These aren't ghost stories. They are disturbing, true events, captured in real footage and documented through police reports, trial records, and survivor testimony. Behind every haunted house lies a criminal mind, a victim who vanished, and a hidden truth waiting to be uncovered. Take 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. Most people know it as the setting of a horror film, but the reality is far more chilling. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his entire family inside that house, a crime that still disturbs psychological experts today. 6 people shot in their sleep. No signs of struggle, no neighbors awakened by gunfire, just silence. Even investigators called it unexplainable, a disturbing mystery that made the Amityville murders one of the most shocking cases in American history. And yet, the house didn't remain empty. Within just over a year, new owners moved in, only to flee in terror after 28 days, claiming real footage of strange events captured the lingering evidence of trauma. Whether paranormal or psychological, what remained inside those walls was undeniable. But Amityville is just one example. Across the world, there are homes where violent crimes etch themselves into the very foundations. And when cameras roll, what they capture is not fiction. It is the raw imprint of murder, fear, and human tragedy. In Villisca, Iowa, a small white house became the stage of one of the most brutal unsolved crimes in U.S. history. In 1912, an entire family and 2 young visitors were slaughtered with an axe. No one was ever convicted, and the case remains open a century later. Visitors today describe the home as unbearable at night, but what matters most are the crime scene records. Blood was found splattered on walls and ceilings. Mirrors were covered, and all victims' faces were deliberately hidden. It was not just murder. It was ritualistic, calculated, and psychologically disturbing. Detectives said the killer likely stayed in the attic, waiting for the family to fall asleep. The thought is haunting. Someone breathing in the shadows, weapon in hand, while children whispered their final words. That kind of premeditation shows a criminal mind both patient and merciless. And here's where the story takes its darkest turn. A traveling stranger was once suspected, but locals whispered about a prominent community figure, someone hiding in plain sight. As evidence went missing and alibis twisted, the case grew colder until the house itself became the only witness. Over the years, investigators returned to the Villisca axe murder house, hoping modern forensics could shed new light. But DNA had long decayed, evidence was tainted, and whispers of corruption in the original investigation still haunt the case. The house remains a chilling monument to justice denied. Then there's the Sowden House in Los Angeles. Architecturally stunning, but hiding one of the most disturbing connections in true crime history. It is linked to George Hodel, the man suspected of the infamous Black Dahlia murder. Elizabeth Short, known as the Black Dahlia, was found in 1947, her body severed, drained, and arranged in a grotesque display. For decades, the case was unsolved, but evidence later tied Hodel's home to the crime scene, with cadaver dogs alerting to the scent of human remains in the basement. The psychology of this crime stunned even seasoned profilers. Short wasn't just killed. She was posed, humiliated, and turned into a public spectacle. That level of control reflects a criminal mind obsessed with power, secrecy, and ritual. The most disturbing part? George Hodel was never convicted. He fled the U.S., living abroad for years, while his house, an architectural masterpiece, became a silent witness to one of Hollywood's darkest chapters. When modern crews filmed inside the Sowden House, microphones picked up unexplained sounds. Some dismissed them as audio glitches, but others pointed to the overwhelming evidence of trauma embedded in the property's history. Sometimes, the past refuses to stay buried. Moving south to Feliz, Los Angeles. Another house hides a nightmarish truth. In 1959, Dr. Harold Prelson bludgeoned his wife to death with a hammer, tried to kill his children, and then took his own life. The crime shocked the community and left the mansion abandoned for decades. Neighbors recall the home standing eerily frozen in time. Christmas decorations, furniture, even old magazines were left exactly as they were on the night of the murders. Like a crime scene sealed in amber, untouched for generations. When urban explorers entered, they described a suffocating atmosphere, dust-covered rooms where violence had erupted in silence. The Prelson tragedy wasn't just another crime. It was a window into a collapsing mind, one pushed beyond the edge by financial ruin and psychological breakdown. The house became a prison long after its inhabitants were gone. And just like Villisca and Sowden, the Los Feliz mansion remains more than bricks and mortar. It is living evidence, a case file you can still walk through, preserved in chilling detail. But the next house on our list carries a secret even darker, one where the killer's crimes extended far beyond the front door. In Plainfield, Wisconsin, a small farmhouse looked ordinary from the outside. But inside lived Ed Gein, one of the most disturbing criminals in American history. When police entered in 1957, they uncovered horrors that would inspire countless true crime stories and films. What they found wasn't just murder, it was desecration. Furniture made of human skin, bowls crafted from skulls, and body parts collected as if they were trophies of some hidden obsession. Neighbors had long suspected Gein was strange, but no one imagined the magnitude of his crimes. Psychologists described him as deeply disturbed, shaped by a controlling mother and an isolated upbringing. His home wasn't haunted. It was a psychological crime scene, frozen in grotesque detail. Unlike other murder houses, Gein's farmhouse was burned to the ground shortly after his arrest. Some say it was an accident. Others call it deliberate destruction. What remains is not the building itself, but the chilling photographs and police evidence that refuse to fade from history. Thousands of miles away, in England, another house carried a secret. At 25 Cromwell Street, Fred and Rose West imprisoned, tortured, and murdered at least 12 young women. The crimes spanned decades, hidden beneath an ordinary family home. Their victims vanished without explanation, and for years, no one suspected the truth. It wasn't until police began digging up the garden in 1994 that the shocking reality was exposed. Bodies were buried beneath concrete floors, cellars, and patios, layer by layer of evidence. The West House was more than a home. It was a machine of cruelty designed for control and concealment. Investigators said the very walls seemed to absorb the cries of the victims. When the case broke, the world was stunned not just by the brutality, but by the deception. Neighbors remembered Fred and Rose as smiling, ordinary parents. Behind closed doors, they were methodical predators, living proof that evil often hides in plain sight. After the trial, 25 Cromwell Street was demolished, wiped from the landscape. But demolition couldn't erase what happened there. It remains one of Britain's most chilling true crime cases, a reminder that sometimes the most disturbing evidence is buried just beneath our feet. And yet, another infamous American home would soon take its place in true crime history. A house where the crimes were not only brutal, but broadcast in photographs and video evidence. What investigators discovered inside would shock the nation, and the cameras would never look away. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, police entered the apartment of Jeffrey Dahmer in 1991. What they found became one of the most disturbing discoveries in modern crime history. Photographs, human remains, and chilling evidence filled every corner of his home. Inside the refrigerator were severed heads. In a drawer, skulls carefully preserved. And in the bedroom, a 57-gallon drum where Dahmer had dissolved victims in acid. This was not a haunted house. It was a crime scene of pure horror. And yet, cameras captured every detail, documenting evidence that would later shock the courtroom and the world. The images remain some of the most disturbing real footage ever released by law enforcement. Neighbors had reported strange smells for months. They complained, but the truth remained hidden until a victim escaped and flagged down police. Only then did the apartment give up its secrets. Psychologists who study Dahmer described his crimes as the ultimate act of control. He wasn't just killing. He was experimenting, trying to create submissive partners who could never leave. His apartment became a laboratory of cruelty, a physical map of his psychological collapse. When investigators dismantled the space, it was as if they were erasing the traces of a nightmare. Yet photographs, evidence logs, and court testimony ensure that the apartment's legacy cannot be destroyed. It lives on as one of the darkest homes in true crime history. From Amityville to Dahmer's apartment, one thing is clear: so-called haunted houses are often scarred by very real human crimes. These walls don't hold ghosts. They hold trauma, silence, and unanswered questions. Every photograph, every record, is a reminder that what's left behind is just as powerful as the act itself. We crave explanations for these places. We wonder why certain homes feel heavier, why the air seems to hold on to tragedy. The truth is simpler and far more disturbing. Violence lingers. These crime scenes endure because they expose something most of us want to forget: that behind locked doors, in the most ordinary of houses, unimaginable horrors can unfold. And once exposed, those houses are never truly the same again. So the next time you see a haunted house caught on camera, ask yourself, is it really spirits you're seeing, or the evidence of crimes that time could not erase? Because the most terrifying thing isn't what you imagine. It's what actually happened, and it's all real.